Yes, my people, how are we doing? We're going to be doing the Crystal Palace season review 23-24. Yes, we're going to be going into full detail of what has been a crazy campaign for Crystal Palace. I kick off with the summer transfer window 2023 and that going into the 23-24 season. A start of a new Premier League season with Hodgson taking charge after his successful spell and keeping us up in the previous season and that. Since then we didn't really kind of have any other managerial candidate, to take charge in that, or did we? With a rather disappointing summer transfer window, missing out on crucial key signings for key positions within our squad and that, despite our signing players in Jefferson Lerma on a free transfer, Rob Holding for just over £2 million, Dean Henderson for 20 mil, and Matthias Franca for 25 million euros. But still, we missed out on so many key players and that, to fulfill and to fill out the squads and that going into the new campaign and that. It wasn't really good enough overall the summer window and we didn't really strengthen the squad to a good enough standard. So yeah, it did come back to bite us in the arse a lot of times, numerous times I should say, to be honest with you. From that point on I could kind of sort of tell what kind of a campaign we were going to truly really have, to be fair. Kicking it off on the 12th of August, we kicked off away at newly promoted Sheffield United, a side who I thought would, battle relegation, but would really put up a fight. At the time, I thought it'd be a competitive affair. It'd be quite a tough match against a tough Sheffield United side who, were no mugs at the beginning of the season, I'll tell you that for a fact. We dominated the game and comfortably won it by a goal to nil with Edouard getting a goal. Played okay. All I can remember was really, though, after the match feeling disappointed we didn't score more, despite us having 2 goals chalked off correctly for obvious offsides and that, to be fair. But overall, good start to the season, we expected to win our first home game of the season in over a week later on a sunny Monday night, I should say. We took on title contenders Arsenal, a cracking atmosphere for starters and that. My first ever Premier League match in the Homestyle end and that. So yeah, I was really looking forward to it, mainly because of that. I like the new setup with the pyros and of course the flares within the Homestyle end too. Shout out to the HF and that for that. But at the end we did lose 1-0. Defensively we were all right. We weren't amazing though. We weren't amazing going forwards. We could have got to the point because Arsenal did go down to 10 men with 20-25 minutes of the match to go, but we fell because we lacked kind of conviction and a bit of sharpness in front of goal. And yeah, we ended August, decently really with a 1-1 deserved draw away at Brentford. I quite enjoyed that away there and that as well, with Anderson getting a goal. And then we went to Plymouth in the League Cup second round and won by 4 goals to 2. I wasn't there for that. It was a long journey, but nice to see 4 goals. Amateta got his first hat-trick for Palace and his first hat-trick of the season as we came from 2-0 down to win. Kicking off September with a very, very impressive 3-2 victory at home to Wolverhampton Wanderers. It was the Edouard, Eze and Mateta show, truly, weren't it? A crucial win just before the September international break. A fairly good start to the campaign with 3 out of 5 wins in all competitions, kicking off the new season. So it was an all right start, to be fair. After the international break, we faced Aston Villa, at Villa Park. The sad thing about this one was Roy Hodgson did get taken ill before the game, so everyone was praying for him and hoping he was all right and all good. He was all good and that he was released come the end of the day. Paddy McCarthy took charge going into this one. Overall, it was quite a poor display all round, I should say. We got played off the park by Aston Villa. Bear in mind, we did go 1-0 up and that early on in the second half. We didn't really kill the game with the chances that we, missed in that as well. Missed chances did come back to cost us a lot. With 3 minutes to go, we were still winning 1-0, and then we suddenly went from 1-0 down to 3-1 down during the late stages of injury time due to poor defending and very controversial decisions regarding VAR that cost us the match. I was fuming at the match, I just left with full rage and I was just absolutely feeling flat and quite deflated, to be fair. Also with the referee Darren England, who was shocking that game, doing us dirty in a Premier League fixture yet again. A few days later, we played Man United in the League Cup. We got knocked out by 3 goals to 0 in the League Cup third round, and it was just pretty miserable being a Palace fan. Also, before then, we drew 0-0 with Fulham 2 at home. Weren't really good. However, a few days later, we then went up to Old Trafford again away in the Premier League. Yeah, to witness, you know, a shocking result, I should say. We beat them by a 0-0. Joachim Andersen scoring a stunning goal. What a finish it was, you know, unbelievable limbs, man. You know, an away day that I'll truly never forget. You know, witnessing us winning at Old Trafford in person, it meant the world to me, you know what I'm saying? It's a day that I was, an away day, I should say, that I will always truly remember. And at the time, we were ninth in the table. That win put us there and that. So, yeah, we were looking very good. Now, we go into October. Next up, we take on Nottingham Forest at Selhurst Park a week later at 5:30 on a Saturday night. A bit of a very bizarre and kind of daft time to kick off on the TV. Yeah, I wasn't really a fan of that, was I? It was pretty much, you know, one of the worst games that you're ever going to see. We did find ourselves in a pretty sticky situation, you know, and this is kind of where things kind of took a drastic decline, you know, for Palace really, and that since half our first team were pretty much injured with crucial players in Eze and Lerma missing, still no Franca and Michael Elise, who were yet to make an appearance for us at this time this season too. Fortunately, we did draw this match 0-0. A solid defensive display, however, one of the worst games of football, I think, for any neutral or any fan, whether you're Nottingham Forest or Palace. And, you know, probably one of the worst games that you're pretty much going to see these days, to be fair. But we struggle badly, you know, especially when the likes of Will Hughes are being played as a number 10. I mean, that says it all with our predicament back then, to be fair. Now, throughout October as well, things didn't get any better with negative performances, losing 4-0 up at Newcastle. Thank God I missed that. And I probably wouldn't have got up there anyway because of the train strikes and everything. And, of course, we did lose towards the end of October 2-1 at home to Tottenham Hotspur. This is where I felt the wheels kind of came off a little bit within Crystal Palace. In that Spurs game particularly, we kind of just sat off Tottenham, you know, with no pressing, no sort of intensity, which pissed off a lot of Palace fans, including myself, and that, to be precisely honest with you. Yeah, it was really, really depressing and awful to watch. But what really got me, and I'm looking at it here, you know, was what Roy Hodgson said in his press conference after the match, you know, targeting and criticising the younger players that featured that night, making pathetic and slimy little comments in his press conference. And I quote, maybe the young substitutes who we like to think we can believe in and help us to a different level didn't show that. He also said here, they didn't do anything for us at all, really. We became much weaker when I made the substitutions. Yeah, he lost a lot of fans that night. It was just disappointing and upsetting to really hear. You know, really angered me up to, as it kind of showed he got no faith and respect towards the youth and younger players within the first team, you know, within the club in general. You know, why would you want to be at the club as a young, ambitious Crystal Palace player within the academy, within the first team, and that with a negative and miserable, unfit gaffer at the helm back then? This was the beginning of the downfall within Crystal Palace. Oh, it was, trust me. Kicking off November, we take a trip to Turf Moor in Lancashire, a rainy and miserable afternoon, along with the coach trip up there, which is pretty much a disaster. You know, it's the front windscreen. I think it was coach 3 I was on, and one of the coaches who left late. The front windscreen blower on the coach was not working, and it cost us over an hour and a bit of the journey. We just about got there 35 minutes before kickoff, for God's sake, you know, witnessing a dreadful performance. But somehow, surprisingly, we won. We always do well at Burnley, don't we? All because Burnley were just useless and couldn't finish off their dinner in front of goal. We ended up winning the match by 2-0. It was our third away win of the season at the time, with surprising goal scorers in Jeffrey Schlupp and Tariq Mitchell grabbing us the 3 points in that undeserving win, in my opinion. And that it really papered over the cracks, you know, to how bad things really were with Palace, you know. In the next week, we take on Everton at home. Now, Eze and Elise both returned from their long spells out with their injuries that they had in that, of course. It surely looked like we were going to turn the corner and kick on fully. But no, we ended up losing by 3-2. We ended up being behind 3 times to concede a late goal to Everton. We were weak defensively in that. But we didn't play that bad during the early stages of the second half and in the first half. But over the course of the match, Everton just wanted it more, and they had more of a strategy and a game plan compared to us, really. You know, a few weeks later, we took on Luton Town away. And yes, I got the golden ticket for this one away at Kenilworth Road, my first time going there, to one of the most weirdest Premier League stadiums in history, and that I visited, you know, within the years of being a Palace fan. I was positive, you know, with a lot of optimism and confidence. I had a good feeling that we'd hammer Luton, that we played them off the park, you know, since they were a side who were down at the bottom 3 with 1 win all season. Bear in mind, I hadn't won a home match all season. Oh boy, was I totally wrong with this one though. We had a disallowed goal from Martin Edouard early on in the second half. A few minutes later, we ended up going 1-0 down in a matter of minutes. Oh God, it wasn't good, was it? And 2 minutes after that, funny enough, with arguably one of the goals of the season for Crystal Palace and within the Premier League, Michael Olise scoring a stunner to get his first goal of the season, got us back on to level terms in that. And I said to myself, really, yeah, surely we would get the 3 points. Surely we would push on to victory. But Palace being Palace just gifted Luton a real sloppy goal, a real cock-up between defender Joachim Andersen and goalkeeper Sam Johnson. We lost by 2 goals to 1 to Luton Town, newly promoted Luton Town, gifting them their first ever Premier League home win in their history. Only Palace would do that. Shambolic, man, shambolic. From this point on, really, I lost all faith and confidence, with the team, the manager, and the club in general. What pretty much could have gone wrong became a nightmare of a reality, to be honest with you. Just showcase, how much of an embarrassment we were as a club. From the beginning of October, form-wise, up until then, we had 4 defeats out of 6, having played and failed to beat the likes of Everton, Forest, and Luton Town out of all teams. Honest to God, a real poor run of results. We had big problems, major problems, that we could see were going to expand and cause a major uproar within the Palace fan base. Kicking off December here, a month of despair and disaster. He kicked it off with a 1-1 draw away at London rivals West Ham United. Overall game and a typical crappy Roy Ball performance. 3 days later, we took on AFC Bournemouth at Selhurst Park. In what turned out to be the turn for the worst and the most toxic match that I've been to at Selhurst Park in 7 years. A spineless, shambolic and disgusting performance all round.
Just listen. That's what I gotta say.
No passion, no desire, no effort whatsoever. Boos and jeers all around at half-time, at full-time, as we lost 2-0 to the Cherries. Bournemouth were by far the better team and absolutely dominated and just wanted that victory and just completely out-tactically did us and took us to the cleaners, to be honest with you. I'm surprised it wasn't more. Roy Hodgson then comes out in the press conference after the match, one of the most outrageous statements you'll hear towards the Crystal Palace supporters, saying the fans have been spoilt here in recent times. Yeah, the fans literally went absolutely nuts and berserk. I just didn't recognise my club anymore. That's what got me, to be fair. The reaction towards Roy and the players on the board that night showed how backwards the club has pretty much gone. An outrageous statement for Roy Hodgson. I just wanted the scene to kind of end. I just wanted it to be over and for Roy to be sacked. How they didn't sack him then, I really won't know or understand, to be honest with you. It was all over at Palace pretty much. Bear in mind, we lost to Bournemouth 2-0. Our next few games, we ended up losing to Liverpool at home, drawing away 2-2 at Manchester City. We went 2-0 down to the Champions and then came back from 2-0 down to get a 2-2 draw. Probably one of our best comebacks this season, no doubt about it. Despite it papering and covering a load of cracks in the awful predicament of Crystal Palace, to be fair. But it was a good comeback. They did show spirits. I credit the players for that. Not Roy, I credit the players, including the younger players in Franco and Ozo, who really stepped up in that match. Big up to them in that as well. The next match, towards the end of December, we took on a Brighton scum at home. A crucial match and a must-win at the time. The pressure was on and tensions are rising. You know what I mean? Palace went 1-0 up, right on the stroke of half-time. Jordan and I with a brilliant header with a brilliant Olise cross. Then, comes the second half, and we went from dominating the match to really kind of parking the bus and failing to hold on to a 1-0 lead yet again against Brighton. As Welbeck scored a late equaliser to make it 1-1. I think that was the 5th 1-1 draw in a row at home against Brighton. Yeah, some crazy stat like that. It wasn't good enough overall. I question what the hell Roy sort of said to them at half time, as the response in the second half was just far too negative. Fans were not happy with calling him for his head and for him to get the sack. But rightly so, because it showed that the players, and for whatever Roy told about half time, overall didn't really show any ambition or drive to win that particular game, which was really upsetting and disappointing to see. Next up, we take on Chelsea. We lost this one by 2-1. That was our 13th defeat in a row to Chelsea in all competitions, man. And overall, we just weren't good enough. We played all right. We didn't finish off our dinner. I know Elise scored and that. But Chelsea wanted it more, and we didn't. The thing that got me afterwards and that as well, for what I noticed when I was in the stand, I was looking at the dugout constantly throughout the whole match. Roy Hodgson didn't get out of his seat once in the dugout. I personally believe he kind of knew he was, on his way out before the Chelsea game. Form-wise, poor, with a shocking 1 win in 9 at this point towards the end of December, and that's just after Boxing Day. It's painful and just miserable winter period for Palace. We somehow managed to end December in a year on a high with something to cheer about. For the first time this season, we got to see the dynamic duo shining in full action together properly. Eze and Elise single-handedly ripping Brentford apart at Selhurst Park as we came out 3-1 winners against the Bees. And yeah, that was our first win since early November pretty much. Moving on to January, it was a new year, kicking off 2024 in the FA Cup third round against Everton at home again. This was, oh God, beyond miserable. A 0-0 at home in the FA Cup third round replay on a miserable, wet and soaky Thursday night. Another stupid time to play a game and that, in the FA Cup and that as well. What a joke, which meant we had to play Everton in a replay at Goodison Park. Listen, we could have still been playing for another 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 months and still wouldn't have scored in this match, The replay was 12 days later at Goodison Park, and the less we talk about, the better, really. I didn't really go up to Everton. I'm glad I stayed in South London because losing 1-0 and getting knocked out of the FA Cup third round in a replay that early as well, shameful all round. There was no urgency for what I saw on the highlights, no rhythm or flair, no sort of, I kind of watched it, there's no quality, no ruthlessness or pattern to our play one bit. We didn't really know what we were doing. At this point, with a total of 2 wins in 16 games, 6 wins out of 24 matches in all competitions at this point this season, and that was an absolute shambolic, horrific, man. And it only got worse. 3 days later, we had to go up to North London to play title contenders Arsenal. Before the game, I just saw the lineup, and as much as I knew we were going to get battered, when you see the likes of Jeffrey Schlupp playing on the wing over the likes of Franca, Hughes playing in cam, and Eze playing out of position on the wing, God, at this point, I had zero faith in anything to do with Palace. There was no good from the club one bit. Especially when you lose 5-0 to any team, what happened up at Arsenal, losing 5-0 and just falling apart and just giving up as a unit in the manner that we did. The fans turned on the players, and rightly so at the end, with some of the Palace players gesturing and even arguing towards the fans. It really kind of pissed me off overall and just really irritated me, to be fair, especially when you go out there, give up and lose before the match has even started, in the manner that we fell apart against Arsenal, losing 5-0. The HF are protesting with a banner saying here, wasted potential on and off the pitch, weak decisions taking us backwards. Not good signs. We had other banners also saying, no shares vision, Parish out and Yanks out, etc. Yeah, oh boy. Vile atmosphere. With the banner that the HF, put up, and that was probably one of the best things that the HF at the time did all season, to be fair. So credit to them for that, because that really, kind of woke up everyone, within the Palace fan base. Yeah, it was a miserable afternoon. The pressure now was heating up on Parish to step up and sack Roy Hodgson. After a long, 10-day break, we took on Sheffield United, who at the time were rock bottom with the league, for God's sake, conceded over 100 goals this season. And Palace being Palace, we were behind twice and we were losing 2-1 at the time. It was just depressing and painful to kind of watch. But my God, as and Elise, if them two weren't playing, we would have been out of sight. We won the match 3-2. Afterwards, though, they did both go off injured, which kind of ruined the day a little bit. Overall, them two star players were a major difference. Next day was transfer deadline day. Palace, we signed a right back, Daniel Munoz, for over £8 million from Ghent, the Colombian right back. Signed a 3-year deal at Palace, and Blackburn midfielder who signed over a 5-year deal, Adam Wharton, for £22 million. But for the first time in a very long time, I felt a slight bit, of optimism and ambition to try and end the season on a positive in what was a ferocious campaign. Oh boy, was it the opposite within the last few weeks after that January transfer window. We move on to February, where it was nothing but saddle over to begin with. Short trip down the M23 to the Amex Stadium, a Brighton versus Palace match at 3 p.m. down at Brighton, and that. I felt really confident for some reason. I think it's because, I generally thought Elise and Eze would be 100% fit for the match, plus the 2 new January signings in Munoz and Adam Wharton would be playing in that as well. I honestly thought we'd take the momentum, from the previous win into this huge match, against our biggest rivals. Overall the vibes were good until yet again the lineup came out. It's one of the worst lineups I think you'll see before a Palace versus Brighton match. Eze out injured. Elise on the subs bench was a bit 50-50 apparently, for what I was told. I kind of did, but didn't sort of see what was coming. And it all started with that mug, Lewis Dunk. The mere mention of that guy's name makes me absolutely sick. He scored to put Brighton 1-0 up. Then we just crumbled. Before, we knew it, we were 3-0 down just before half time. We was 3-0 at half time, and that, by the way, and that as well. Palace falling apart again. The boos in the away end, along with the banner saying parish out, along with chanting against Roy and the board, just were non-stop, to be honest with you. Fans arguing and fighting amongst themselves, as I found out. Star was in the stands. Elise coming off the bench in the second half to only play 5 minutes because he went off injured with a hamstring injury. I think what really got on my nerves with this one was Roy having the cheek to throw his backroom staff pretty much under the bus, whether it was pretty much his fault for screwing up and bringing Elise on, knowing that he was injured and not fully fit to play, 90 minutes or whatever it was during the course of that match. He came on for five minutes and got crocked. Oh boy, that really got the Palace fans vexed, didn't it? To be honest, oh my life, I don't even want to talk about it because it was an awful time. The fact, Roy knew he was unfit and not cut out to be playing just said it all, really. He clearly knew. Overall, Roy Hodgson was unfit and not cut out for the managerial role. He just wasn't there. He just lost his way. It's like he just gave up and kind of really, didn't care anymore. Nothing but hell all over, to be fair. It was so bad. I did something I hadn't done for a very long time, and that was leaving a match mega early. I can remember just walking out with 20-25 minutes to go. I was certain we were going to get relegated, no doubt about it, come the end of the season, as that result would have seriously damaged and broken the club, pretty much did, to be fair anyways. It was a dark day being a Palace fan, horrible day. It's a day that I just want to forget, to be honest with you. The aftermath, I was wild. The Palace meltdown on Twitter and all over social media and that as well. Even had fans moaning at me for leaving the scum's territory. I don't really regret anything I did or said. I don't regret leaving the match early one bit, because I couldn't take it anymore. I generally couldn't take it. It was making me go crazy just standing there watching that football. Yeah, I think this was a real huge indication to people to kind of wake up and realise how we were as a club. Simple as that. And I did a video on it and that as well, to how bad things have gotten at Crystal Palace. Along with it being the worst kind of season and year that I've experienced as a Palace fan overall. We're truly having one of the worst campaigns in the Premier League. It was time for a change, no doubt about it. It was time for a firm and quick change. After another capitulating defeat at home to Chelsea, losing 3-1, making that 14 defeats to Chelsea in a row in all competitions, and conceding late sloppy goals again in a poor-minded manner, Roy Hodgson was finally sacked. It was 2 months, in my opinion, too late though. And that's what really irritated me overall and was on my mind quite a bit, as he should have been sacked at Christmas time. Crystal Palace needed a new manager with drive, passion, ruthlessness and ambition. We needed someone who, knows what it takes to get to the top, really, and that could take us to the next level. In comes former Frankfurt boss Oliver Glasser, the Austrian who previously won the Europa League with Frankfurt 2 years prior to when he was first appointed as Palace boss back in February. And I can't lie, I found out he was a former European champion and a winner. I knew he'd do a bit of magic at Palace. I knew he'd be the right guy for the fit. Took charge of his first ever Palace match against Burnley, the relegation contenders. Now, during the course of the match, Burnley went down to 10 men in the first half. However, throughout the whole course of the game, we took full control and was all over the Clarets pretty much. We won 3-0, scoring 3 goals in 11 minutes. The team spirit was definitely on another level. And yeah, we kept going instead of sitting back and folding up. Watching Glasgow on the touchline, it felt like he was the 12th man on the pitch within the dugout, to be fair, which I like to see from him. He kind of, reminded me of a mix of Pep and Klopp with his positive energy and influence on the side. For once, things looked like they were kind of clicking. Things looked like they were looking good. The way we demolished Burnley, and we're just playing energetic attacking football with a bit of passion and more directness in our play. And then comes March, where things got a little bit tricky for us overall. Tottenham away, another London derby. This match, funnily enough, was the last match before I had a month's absence due to my jaw operation, and hoping we get the win. I know Eze scored a stunning free kick, probably one of the best free kick goals you'll see in our 10-year period since we've been in the Premier League. And then we just kind of fell apart and gifted from Tottenham 3 points, conceding 3 goals in 10 minutes, losing 3-1 away to Spurs, 3 late goals being shipped in a sloppy manner from us. You know, our poor record away at Tottenham continued. To be fair, we never won there in the Premier League, and you could see why. It was a bit of a reality check for us. You know, we needed to fix up and realise we still had a long way to go to try and improve and start playing football that would take us to the next level. Now, the following week, I missed the Luton match. Like I said, I was in hospital. We're by far the better side. Mateta opened the scoring with a cheeky little flick into the back of the net, which put us 1-0 up, and we were still within 1-0 very, very late on into injury time before Luton equalised at the 96th minute. Man, oh my God, I was kicking myself. I remember seeing the score when I was in the hospital, and my head just dropped, and I just lost my head, and I was just completely just deflated. Typical Palace could see their late goal, yet again, failing to hold on to a 1-0 lead again and again. Oh my God, you know, we just weren't learning from our mistakes. I just like every time we were coming close to a win, we just slip up and bottle it late on. You know, it's just in typical Palace fashion. After the March international break, things had really changed. You know, a 1-1 away draw at Forest with missed chances in front of goal as we were all over them. And we should have won that game as well. You know, very, very disappointing. I missed that game and that as well, but I was very close to coming back. Watching Palace, which I was looking forward to, but just weren't getting the results. We were just being really inconsistent in games that we should be winning and that we were dominating. We ended up losing or drawing. Now we go into April, 2 months till the season ends. This is where the Glasgow effect really picked up. April started off, you know, a little bit on the low for us, you know, with back-to-back defeats to AFC Bournemouth. We were playing well at the time, and the champions Manchester City, we did lose 4-2 to them despite going 1-0 up. Played well, but, you know, Man City were just a better team and kind of too good for us. It was difficult periods as a Palace fan overall, I'll tell you that. It looked like we'd be in another relegation scrap yet again, which kind of got me down a little bit. Going into the next few games within April, we had 1 win in 9 games. Form-wise, we were a complete mess and a disaster overall, I'm not going to lie. I did begin to worry a bit. All I was hoping for was 2 to 3 wins somehow out of a tough run where we had to play the likes of Liverpool, West Ham, Newcastle, Fulham, Man United, Wolverhampton Wanderers and Aston Villa coming up within the last 7 games. You know, I was like to myself, if we got 2 wins, we comfortably stay up, which probably would have kept us up anyway. Even 1 win probably would have kept us up, to be honest with you. However, what happened next? Oh boy, what happened next was truly something special that I don't think anyone saw coming one bit. First up, Anfield. So we took on Liverpool away. Liverpool, who were title contenders at the time, pushing to try and compete with the likes of Arsenal, Man City for that league title. And we hadn't won at Anfield, bear in mind, for 7 years since Benteke got that double 7 years back. It was Liverpool's to lose really during the match. We went there and matched them up superbly, didn't we? Palace playing brilliantly and out of our skin, defended out of our skin and defended for our life in style, didn't we? We won 1-0 with Eze scoring a winning goal, which was voted CPFC's goal of the season. I can't lie, it was a pretty impressive goal. It's not the first time we scored a goal like that at Anfield in front of the Kop as well. Palace, you know, were the only team that season to win in the Premier League at Anfield and were just the second team in the league throughout the campaign to stop the Reds from scoring at home on their turf, and that ended Liverpool's title hopes pretty much. And it's not the first time we've done that, trust me. This result was the result that pretty much turned the corner for Palace and turned our depressing season around. No one really saw us or expected us to go up to Anfield and win 1-0 and keep a clean sheet. You know, that is a rarity in this day and age, especially within 2024 and that. Fast forward a week later, we took on West Ham in the London derby at Selhurst Park. Knowing that if we won, we'd be mathematically safe pretty much, to be fair. Oh boy, we hammered West Ham. West Ham did get slaughtered 5-2 at Selhurst Park. Palace were 4-0 up within 31 minutes of the match. We crucified them from the get-go. Elise and Mateta getting in all the action, Mateta getting a double and that as well. The football was top notch. So we are mathematically safe now, and for the first time this season we had back-to-back wins in the league, and we were now 11 points clear of relegation. I was pretty much comfortable that we were not going to get sucked into it. Things only got better though. Oh boy, we took on the Geordies. They came down to town, didn't they? Newcastle hadn't played in 13 days prior to the match. It was a Wednesday night. Palace never win on Wednesday nights, you know, whether it's home or away. However, this time it was the John Philip Mateta show as he got the double at home again as we beat the Magpies by 2-0 in a very, very good victory. Probably one of our best wins this campaign, in my opinion, to be fair. You know, against a very good Newcastle side that were on good form going into this fixture. We got 3 wins in a row for the first time in over a year. The Gladstone effect, you know, was on point. from this moment onwards. Blimey, what a turnaround. A few days later, we took on Fulham at Craven Cottage. I like the away days. My first time going to Craven Cottage. Very good day overall, with a 1-0 draw with Jeffrey Schlupp. Did score one of the goals of the season for Palace. What a strike. It was a thunderbolt to grab us a crucial point to stretch the unbeaten run to 4 matches, so longest unbeaten run for Crystal Palace since April of 2023, a year ago. The last month of the season, May, a crucial month for Crystal Palace because it was the race for top 10. Look, in order for Palace to get top 10 at the beginning of the month, I was having a look. At this point, we knew we had to win all of our remaining 3 games against Man United, Wolverhampton Wanderers and Aston Villa. We started off May with 40 points, sitting in 14th in the table with a goal difference of -12. Overall, I won't lie, top 10 was very unlikely. It was possible, but very unlikely. But I still believed and had faith. We hosted Manchester United, who at the time, I was just hoping we thrashed them due to how rubbish they've been this campaign, as we ruthlessly demolished and battered them at playing them off the park. Man United were absolutely total garbage. We won 4-0 at the end, absolutely destroying Ten Hag's Reds and that. Did the league double as well over Man United for the first time in our history in the Premier League. Mateta scoring at home once again, whilst showing how useful and valuable his technical ability can be while scoring a goal, putting in the work rate and playing some superb football in the build-up of his goal. Tyreek Mitchell also got on a score sheet to get his second Premier League goal of the season. A very good performance from him, his best game I've ever seen him in a Palace shirt. Elise showing his class with 2 stunning goals and that, 2 brilliant finishes. He got the double in that as well. Only the second time I believe he got a double in a single match this season at Selhurst Park, within a Premier League game. Simply a night to remember though. It was glamorous. It was just a blessing to watch. It was a night to truly remember. I was just disappointed it wasn't a 5-0 like 1972 again. Next up, Wolves away, the last away day of the season. An emotional one, trust me. It always is with Palace, innit? We sold over 3,000 away tickets, flooding Wolverhampton in red and blue. The sun was out and I was feeling good and very optimistic. In all my time watching Crystal Palace away from home, I never felt that buzzed up and confident before the away match. I was really, really confident we win. Non-stop chant and singing. 2-0 up at half-time. Mateta and Elise ripping it up once again. All you could hear at half-time was the Palace faithful singing from their soul, from their heart. And we eventually went on during the second half to win the match by 3-1. 5th away win of the season, which is one more than what we got last year. All you could hear throughout Wolverhampton, in and outside the stadium, constantly chanting wise was
3 points again, 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 3 points again,
a wonderful and iconic moment that I'll never forget as a Crystal Palace supporter away from home. Unbelievable, man. Loved every moment, especially when we were getting off the train at Euston and trying it and that.
3 points again, 3 points again, 3 points again,
And I found ourselves 12th in the league, 2 points off top 10 and rivals Brighton, who sat in 10th. Bear in mind, at the beginning of this month, they were about 9 points ahead of us, and that, boy, we caught up with them big time, didn't we? Things were going to get real interesting, I'm telling you that for a fact, as we had a massive chance to finish above the Brighton scum and get top 10 for the first time in 9 years. You wouldn't have thought we'd be in this predicament back in February, when things were looking like complete carnage. In order for us at the time to finish top 10, we had to beat Aston Villa at our next match, which was the last game for us this season. We needed Brighton, Bournemouth and Wolves to either lose or draw. And if Brighton drew at home to Man United on their last match of the campaign, we would need to win by 2 clear goals, like 2-0, 3-1. We only had 1 shot, 1 opportunity to grab 10th. It was a brighter blue typical end of season day at Selhurst Park. Meeting some of the first team players overall before the match and simply just taking it all in, it was a real joy, really set the heights and set the standards. Had a few beers before and that as well, maybe 1 or 2 many. Also joined in with the Homesdale Fanatics flag display organised by the HF and that. Shout out to them, brilliant display all around, sensational. It was superb and they had the place rocking from minute 1 to minute 90. It set the heights for the match and the day in general, to be fair, within Selhurst Park. All I could say after watching that iconic performance is we slaughtered and mullered Aston Villa by 5-0. There's one word: Boom! Arteta was truly in the room on this one. There ain't a striker better, man. After watching, him score a hat-trick against Aston Villa, he made history scoring the first ever Premier League hat-trick at Selhurst Park, along with his second hat-trick this season in all competitions. Don't forget the one he scored at Plymouth back in late August and that as well. 19 goals in all competitions this season, 16 of them in the Premier League. He scored the most Premier League goals in a season since Andy Johnson with his 21 goals back in the 04-05 season. A bit of history there. He also ended the season with the best shot conversion in the league with 0.30 plus. That is definitely a player that 100% deserved to win the Palace Player of the Season. He won Palace's Player of the Season. He also is my Palace Player of this season. Unbelievable talent, really stepped up and became one of the best strikers in the league, in my opinion, and that up there with the likes of Erling Haaland. With Wolves, Bournemouth and the Brighton Scum losing on the final day, yippee. For the first time in 9 years, we could officially say that Crystal Palace finished in the top half, finishing 10th in the league above the Brighton Scum.
2-0 to Man United. La 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 la, la 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 la. Let's go love for Brighton. Let's go love for Brighton. La 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 la, la 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 la. Let's all laugh for Brighton. Let's all laugh for Brighton. Na 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 na.
Superb, man. Honestly, we've gone from wanting the season to be over at Christmas to ending it on a massive high in the manner that we did. What a turnaround and comeback from Palace. The Glasgow effect had us cooking some magic in South London. Stats don't lie during our successful run. Palace under Hodgson before Glasgow took charge, 25 games, 24 points. Points per game at 0.96. Palace under Oliver Glasner in his 12 matches, we got 24 points. Unbeaten in our last 7 games in a row. 6 wins out of them 7 matches and that as well, collecting 19 points from a possible 21, with 21 goals scored and 4 clean sheets within that successful run. Finishing on 49 points in the table, which is our joint highest Premier League finish to the 14-15 season 9 years back. Most Premier League goals in a single season and that as well, making a bit of history there. Pretty successful that. A proper emotional roller coaster of a season. The best football I've seen at Palace in 10 years of watching them. Can't wait for a full season under Glasgow next year, man. I'm really looking forward to it. What job he's done. In my opinion, he should be a candidate for manager of the season. In the way he's transformed the likes of Mateta, Munoz, Wharton, Hughes, making Eze and Elise invincible on that pitch and making them an iconic, dynamic duo at Crystal Palace and that as well, especially in the last game of the season when the likes of Eze, specifically along with Elise, tore Villa apart. It's the main reason really why Mateta got that hat-trick, so you got to shout out Eze for that. He's been an amazing player. He's made us believe again over Glasgow and that, especially when you get players like Eze and Elise and Mateta getting double figures, 3 players getting double figures in a single Premier League season at Palace for the first time in history too. That's all because of Oliver Glasner, and he's made us have faith and have a lot of ambition going into the next few seasons at Palace. He has truly taken us to the next level, and overall it's been a successful season. So what an end to the campaign, a season that I'm truly going to never forget. Yeah, man, superb football that is top 10 worthy by a mile, that is European worthy. We'll have to wait and see next year. Looking forward to it. Been a good season overall, really, finishing where we did and ending it in a positive manner. Come on, the Palace, and I'll see you lot in my next one. Eagles!